Welcome to the Travel Tidbits Podcast, hosted by me, Jamie Weidel, travel advisor and owner of Pineapple Escapes Travel. Join me as I share the latest travel news, top destinations, and expert tips for the savvy traveler. Because after all, travel makes life sweeter. Welcome back to the Travel Tidbits Podcast, where we share travel tips, destination inspiration, and the latest updates from around the world of travel. I'm your host, Jamie Weidel, owner of Pineapple Escapes Travel, and today I am so excited because we have not one, but two returning guests joining us. We've got Alissa MacVey and Samantha Harris, two of our incredible travel advisors who recently sailed with me on the inaugural sailing of the Celebrity Xcel. Trisha Siebert also joined us, but she's a bit podcast shy, so it's just the three of us recording today. We're going to dive into everything about the Celebrity Xcel, including what's on board, the suites and the retreat, what our experience was really like, some of our favorite moments, and a sneak peek of what's in store for celebrity cruises in the future. We also had some executive meetings on board, so we have some neat information to share about what's to come for Celebrity. So ladies, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hi.
I guess we need to just jump right into Celebrity Xcel. So we've been home about 48 hours almost. I mean, maybe 36. So we were just on the inaugural sailing of the Celebrity Xcel, and there was such a fun energy on the ship. What was your first impression when we first stepped on board, and what did you think of the ship? Let's start with you, Alissa.
Overall, it was such a different feeling from what I'm used to because I do a lot of family-friendly cruises since I have 4 kids. Walking on board, you're immediately met with this very elegant, refined, quieter atmosphere during the day, but I was very pleasantly surprised by all the goings on at night. So I think for people who are really looking for a more classic cruise experience, a little more adult focus, then this is definitely the ship for them.
Yeah, I like that. Samantha, what did you think?
I agree with all of that. I think for me, what stands out is typically when you are boarding a ship, it feels very chaotic. Everything is but as soon as you board the Celebrity ship, it just feels like everybody's going their own separate ways. There's not loud music and the whole pomp and circumstance of everybody getting on together. And that's great in certain environments, but it's like you walk on and you take a deep breath and it's like instantly it feels like, I don't know, your blood pressure just lowers and you're just calmer. And I just like that it's not a chaotic feeling.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a few things that kind of play into that. I think part of it is that it is more adult centric, and obviously our ship had mostly adults. There were a few kids on board, but it was almost all adults. So it is a little bit more peaceful. Is that the word I want to use? But I also think that just the whole vibe is a little bit different and just a slight bit more elevated than like a royal ship where you're going on with your family. So it's kind of that different vibe, which I personally really like as well, especially now that my kids are kind of becoming adults and aging out of that younger age range. So for me, I loved just the overall vibe of the ship. I liked the layout, the decor, the martini bar in the middle. Everything felt polished and very clean and new, which obviously I always enjoy as well. So I think it's just kind of like that step up into kind of more of a classic luxury that Royal is for families, but just that little bit touch more elevated. So I personally really liked that as well. So when we are booking Celebrity, one of the things that is a little bit different from some of the other cruise lines is they do have some options for some inclusions that are prepackaged with your package deal. So let's talk a little bit about what's included on the Xcel, and if you're booking like a base package, if you get like an all-inclusive package, and then like if you're staying in the suites or retreat. So Alissa, let's start with you. What are some of those inclusions that first-time celebrity cruisers might not expect?
It is quite different, at least when it comes to one of their sister cruise lines with Royal Caribbean, where you can book an all-included package when you are booking your cruise cabin. And that means your beverage package and your Wi-Fi is going to be included. So it takes a little bit of that extra step out. It gives you the ability to make payments on those portions, which I think is a great option for people who are looking to keep their budget balanced, which everyone is these days, especially if you're booking further out, which is another thing that I love about cruising. You can already book for 2027. That gives you so much time to still have the experience you want, but at a price point that you can live with, especially with the holidays coming up. So with either the basic package, which is just cruise fare, or the all-included package, on board the Xcel, you're going to find 4 main dining restaurants, and specialty restaurants are an upcharge. Just like most cruise lines, there are going to be those options that you need to be aware of before you board, so you know whether or not you want to spend that money. It's another great reason to work with a travel agent. But once we get past that, then you have your pool deck, which is gorgeous, absolutely stunning up there, brand new, elevated, 2 plunge pools on either side of that top deck, as well as several whirlpools. Moving down into the ship, you're going to have your all-day activities. That ranges anything from, we saw a line dancing class, to their new Coolest Day Ever party, which will be your last sea day on board, elevated games, dancing, all kinds of really fun, unique stuff that only happens that one day. You've got the solarium pool, which is enclosed, which means no matter what the weather is, even in the Caribbean, it can get a little rainy sometimes. And then your high-end production shows in the evening that they alternate between that. There's also sometimes a magician, sometimes an adult comedian. There is the brand new Bora restaurant on the top deck. And then there is the brand new bazaar at the aft of the ship, which is a multi-function space featuring a bar, a specialty dining restaurant, an included buffet restaurant, as well as several crafts and shows that they run in there several times a day. So there really is a huge range, whether you're looking for more things to do all day, keep yourself busy, or if you just want to find somewhere to relax and tuck away. You've really got the best of both worlds on this ship.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And one thing that I think we have to kind of touch on too is Aqua Class. So if you're booking an Aqua Class room, you also get the thermal suite included, which we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a minute when we get to the suites in the retreat. But I think that that's an important distinction too, is that that can also be included. So Samantha, from your experience on this sailing and from when you and I sailed on Celebrity Edge, what do you think with Celebrity really adds value for the guests?
I think the dining, as Alissa mentioned, the 4 main dinings that are not upgraded, I do feel like those main dining restaurants are a step above main dining restaurants on other ships that I've been on. They'll have a different menu each night, but then also if you're in a different restaurant, you can order off of another menu. So it just felt like it was really, the service level was really catered to you, even if you were not in that upgraded dining. I really liked the bazaar on this ship. I thought it was a really neat concept. As Alissa mentioned, with the crafts, they have 2 paid crafts and 1 complimentary craft each day, and they're different each day. So if you just kind of want something that's just kind of chill, sit and do. We painted door signs, we painted seashells, stuff that I don't do every day at home. But just, it was kind of fun to just sit and chat with people and listen to live music and paint my door sign with Christmas lights on it. So I think just kind of the activities, they're different than on a ship that's going to be focused to a more younger crowd or busier crowd. So if you're wanting to find a place to sit and do something without physically doing a lot of stuff, if that makes sense, it just gives you that option of a different level versus water slides and rock climbing walls and zip lines, and all of that stuff is great for the right person. But if you're not that right person and you want something that's dialed down a notch, that's much more relaxing and not as much active activities, then the Celebrity ship is a great choice.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that, that comes back to why work with a travel agent, why work with Pineapple Escapes Travel. It's because we've been here, we've done this. And when you reach out to us, we can ask you those questions so that you can fully understand, okay, yeah, no, this is the right ship for me because this is what I'm looking for. And that's really why we travel. We travel so that we understand those nuances and those differences to be able to help you pick the best ship, the best experience, the best options for you. And I do like that Celebrity kind of simplifies things where we can add that Wi-Fi and your classic drink package to your package already. So it's one less place that you are nickeled and dimed. Yes, there are still upcharges and things that you need to account for, but we will help you navigate that throughout the process so you kind of know what to expect when you get on board and what that's going to look like. So I do think that is a really nice benefit of Celebrity, is being able to have those options for things that are already added on and some things that, like the one craft that was complimentary each day. It was just nice to have some of those options that were included. So I think we have to jump in and talk about the suites and the whole retreat experience. So we did get to tour many of the different suite class rooms, and some of those bathtubs, I'm telling you, like, you could just put me in that bathtub and I'd be good for the whole trip. I don't even need to do anything else. Maybe deliver me a martini from the martini bar, but otherwise I'll just sit in that tub for the whole trip and I would be fine. So let's talk a little bit about the retreats and the suite class. So Alissa, we all know you're a suite girl. We've talked about this before on the podcast. So how would you describe the retreat to someone who hasn't ever sailed Celebrity before?
So this is their ship within a ship concept that you're going to see on a lot of the major cruise lines. So what it is a separate access to people who've paid to be there, which means you're that extra step away from the hustle and the flow of the rest of the ship when you want it, but you still have all of the access and sometimes even premium access to what everyone else has. So on the Xcel, they've got Luminae, their restaurant, as well as a lounge. So you have your specialty dining restaurant, again, with the menu that changes every day, but with upgraded options and upgraded service. There's also snacks, high tea, and a continental breakfast served in the lounge every day. So there's 2 more exclusive dining options. You can also order food on the pool deck on sea days, which I always love that option. And apparently the Luminae burger is the best burger on a cruise ship, according to a lot of reports. So I can't wait to check that out for myself when I go again in February. Another great perk from Royal Suites and above is you get your included complimentary specialty dining, your included gratuities, your included drink package, and then every suite has butler service. So that means that if Jamie wants to hang out in her tub all day, she can text them from the martini bar or wherever she is on the ship and say, hey, start running that bath for me. So it's all filled up by the time I get there, because I'm pretty sure some of those take like an hour and a half to fill up. So you're not going to want to wait around yourself dipping your toe in the water. You can just let your butler take care of that for you.
I love that. When can I go? Yeah. Will they bring me my martini? That's the other question.
I bet they would.
Can they just deliver that? Priorities. Samantha, we were able to tour several of the suite categories on Xcel, and we were all touring together, so we all saw the rooms. But thinking about those rooms, what stood out to you about the rooms and about like the layout, what was included, what was kind of more elevated than the traditional rooms on the ship?
Well, if you've talked to me much, I'm kind of a patio furniture snob. What stood out to me on these suites is the balconies. Like on our balcony, I had a sunset veranda, which was really nice, but it's 2 chairs that just like sit up in chairs. I like a lounge chair. And so on the suite levels, those rooms on their verandas, they had the nicer lounge chairs. There were several lounge chairs. There were places to spread out and just really relax and enjoy that veranda. That's just one thing, even with an all-inclusive to me, is when you're paying for that veranda, some people are fine just sitting there and looking at it. I want to be able to relax on it. I want the tub or plunge pool on the balcony. I want a padded lounge chair. And that's what you're going to get different. I mean, just one factor. Obviously, there's a ton of different factors, but one factor that I really like about those suites is that relaxing area on the balcony. So you can, I think it was the Royal Suite that had like a line of 6 lounge chairs that were very heavily padded. It had a cabana. It had a hot tub on there. And it's just like you could spend all day out there. You could take the bathtub, Jamie, but I'm going to sit out there on, we could just share the suite.
Yeah,
and
I'm in.
Because you're going to lay in that bathtub and I'm just going to have this entire veranda to myself. And there's plenty of seats if you, want to join, and Alissa wants to join. Like there was just, I'd have to go back and look at my pictures, but I think there was 6 lounge chairs on that particular veranda with the cabana and then the hot tub. And that's just a different level of vacation to me. You have all of those options, even if you're not in a suite, but they're in public areas. So it's kind of like having that all-inclusive suite where you have your privacy and your own vacation, but then you can go out to the public areas for some entertainment and dining if you choose to. But if not, you still have that private condo type vacation with just you and whoever you're traveling with, whether that be a group of girlfriends or a family or by yourself if you choose to. But I really like that option. The bathrooms, they were more full-size bathrooms with separate standing tubs and showers and sinks and closets and places to get ready versus your standard stateroom that's got your stand-up shower and toilet and sink all in the space of what a closet would be. And so their bathrooms on the celebrity ships are nice, but a cruise ship bathroom is just not the same as a luxurious bathroom at home. And you do get that luxurious bathroom in space in the suites.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think, I don't know if this is a sign of my age or traveling too much or what, but I do like when I can not be around people. So I like to not people. So I think that's really the big benefit of the suites is if you are looking for something that is truly relaxing, where you can be out on that veranda relaxing and reading your book or whatever it is you like to do when you're relaxing on vacation, the suites give you a lot more space and a lot more options to do that. Just the space in general, like cruise ship rooms are traditionally pretty small, although I do think our room had plenty of space, plenty of storage. I wasn't uncomfortable at all, but at the same time, having something where you can spread out, especially depending on who you're traveling with, and having those spaces that are just for you or just for your family or travel group really make a difference overall. So I know that when I am talking to clients about suites and the retreat and those options, they really want to know what stands out and what makes this different. So I kind of wanted to just kind of go through a few of these things. I think the biggest things are you get that butler concierge service. You have access to Luminae, which is the restaurant that is just for retreat guests. You have a private sun deck, private lounge. You get those premium drinks. You get the Wi-Fi. You get priority boarding and onboarding. So onboarding, that's not the right word. Debarkation. There. That's a better word. And so being able to have kind of that more luxurious feel and then plus that larger, more luxurious suite that feels more kind of like Samantha said, like a condo or an apartment instead of, your traditional stateroom. So I think that's really the big differences. Alissa, do you have anything you would add to that?
I think one of the things to remember is that they're always going to try to surprise and delight you. And that's not to say that every guest on board isn't going to find those things around the ship, but the difference with the suites is they're going to bring that directly to your room. They're going to show up, they're going to offer to unpack, which makes me uncomfortable, but I'm sure some people love it because then you just go have fun and you come back and all your things are there. But they're also going to deliver you a complimentary bottle of sparkling wine. They're going to bring you treats in the afternoon that you don't have to go search, that you can have late at night when you don't want to bother anyone else. It's those small touches that when all added up really ease your vacation so you get to relax instead of doing a lot of the legwork yourself, like having to adjust dining reservations. There's a butler chat. Your butler will adjust your dining reservations for you or double check a showtime for you. It's those little things that by the end of the cruise are really going to save you some time and some stress so you can really take advantage of your time on board.
Yeah, I like that. And To me, it's overall like a feeling. And I don't know if it's like feeling special or if it's just more quiet, more privacy, just better service. But I feel like the suites are really perfect for honeymooners or like a celebration trip. If you're celebrating a birthday or an anniversary, or if you're just one of those people who, doesn't want to live an uncomfortable life, like the lady from White Lotus, like I think the suites can really be the perfect choice and kind of give you that smaller ship experience on, a mass market cruise line. So definitely something to keep in mind and talk to us about if you are considering sailing on Celebrity. We can definitely help you with the ins and outs of that to see if it's the right choice for you. So I think we have to also jump into some of our highlights from our inaugural sailing. So we had a lot of fun. It was a good trip. We slept very little. I think I slept 10 hours in 3 days. So I blame these two, but that's beyond the point.
I wasn't even sleeping in your room, so this is not entirely
in my room, so it was fine. But it's all good. It's all good. It was worth it. It was worth it. Let's put it that way. So let's talk about some of the highlights. Alissa, let's start with you. Thinking about all that we saw and all that we did on the inaugural sailing, what stood out to you as one of your favorite moments or favorite spaces or places?
I spent a lot of time on the top deck because I'm so used to royal ships that I think I was missing kind of that open air feeling a little bit. So I did spend a lot of time on the very top. I am obsessed with Bora, the new Mediterranean open air restaurant on the top. I didn't get to eat there this time. I did get to try a few bites one afternoon when they had some samples going, and what I had, I was so impressed by. I cannot wait to go back and try their brunch with their bottomless Bloody Mary bar. They had live music for the diners one night. I am going to probably live on that rooftop garden Bora area when I go back in February. And then I was also very impressed with the chandelier show. Super unique, very fun kind of stadium style cocktail seating, which I don't know if I've ever seen a space that I would describe that way. But you can sit at the martini bar, and then several times a night they have this thing called the chandelier show where the bartenders do all their cool flare tricks and those chandeliers lighting up and music is pumping. I did not expect to like it as much as I wound up liking it, just because when you hear chandelier show, you kind of go, okay, what is that going to be? But I could definitely see myself kind of like sitting at the bar one night or sitting in the stadium seating one night or just trying to walk by when it's going on to see, are they doing anything different tonight? So I think those are probably my top two. Other than that, I'd have to say the thermal suite I was incredibly impressed by. That's another thing that access is included in several suites, as well as all of those aqua class cabins like we mentioned earlier. A very unique concept to this ship for Celebrity with the vitamin D sun deck, the hydrotherapy area. I have heard that the best time to visit is either first thing in the morning or later in the afternoon, because there are a limited number of passes sold, but there's only, I think it is 4 loungers in the hydrotherapy room. So if you are really wanting to take advantage of that and get your money out of it, I would say maybe head there first thing in the morning before breakfast, or head there later in the afternoon or evening while a lot of people are probably eating.
Yeah, I really liked the thermal suite too. I thought that was one of my favorites. And then I really liked the martini bar and the chandelier show, but the martini bar, like how it is in the center of the ship and the way that the seating is kind of up the side. So like you can find a quieter spot and kind of tuck yourself away. I guess I like to hide from people. There's a theme here. But I did really like how that was set up. So you can still see the action, be a part of the action, but not be in the middle of it. And I have to recommend there's a snowflake martini. And if you order the snowflake martini and add a shot of espresso, it tastes like melted coffee ice cream. And I really liked it. So I will be going back on a Celebrity Edge ship just for that, to have that again, because I did really like it. But those were two that really stood out to me as well. Samantha, what stood out to you on the ship?
Well, I've already mentioned that I really liked the bazaar, and I said that the crafts changed each day, but so did the theming of the area too. So one day was like water, and so it was really kind of hard to, I think, explain, but the walls were kind of like a digital display and they had like waves and sand kind of crashing on there. And then the next day was like a Caribbean flair. So they had dancers and different music. So they was playing some Jamaican music and some steel drums. And you could just sit there and absorb all of that kind of local culture, depending on the day they choose, while you're painting your seashell. Or we made our own salt scrubs. What else did we do? I mentioned already painting the signs. They had origami and bookmarks that you could decorate. Just random kind of sit and chill with a group of people or by yourself. The other part of the ship that I really enjoyed was the attic. So it's kind of maybe like a bar / dance room and game space with an arcade kind of, which sounds so chaotic, but it wasn't. And so we sat there at a high top digital table with games on it and played, did puzzles or colored, which sounds just so random, but we're also listening to game show and country music that was a deck below us that you could overlook. So you could still be a part of it, but it was also a tad bit quieter than like being down on that main floor. They had arcade style, what I'm trying to think of, the like Pac-Man games, and we played darts. So it was just a fun place to kind of sit and hang out without being in a loud bar or in the casino, so you could still kind of sign up, like I said, just going back to that non-active activities. So we were still kind of doing something, and there was bar service. You could order a drink and play darts. They also had that room off to the side of it where they had a golf simulator. Now that is a room, like a private event thing that you had to rent. All of the details were not available to us, but if you are interested in that, we can get those before you're sailing. But they just had that golf simulator. I think they said it was 10 people. And, the night we walked by there, they were not even, well, we did try the golf simulator, but the night we were playing darts, they were sitting in there watching a football game on the large simulator screen. So it's kind of a multi-purpose private area. But again, I really enjoyed our night in the attic. I really enjoyed the bazaar, and I also enjoyed the thermal suite. Anytime I can get a hydrotherapy, that's kind of like, I'm first in line, sign me up. So, in a small town, I can get a nice massage and we have nice spas, but you don't get that hydrotherapy experience like you do at an all-inclusive or a high-end spa. And I really enjoyed that day. I like the vitamin D deck. Once you bought the thermal pass, even they had the private deck area with couches and lounge chairs and cabanas. And so once you finish your hydrotherapy, or you could sit on the heated loungers, then you could just walk outside and sit on that deck. And the only people that had access to that area were ones with the thermal pass. So it was just another level of privacy. Now, if you don't want to purchase the thermal suite, I really like the solarium area on the Celebrity ship. And it's just as quiet, it's just as nice, but it's not open air. So the deck outside the thermal suite was open air and private. So that to me is a step above that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I agree with everything both of you said. Samantha brings up the attic. I think if my husband and I were sailing on the Xcel, that would be one of our favorite places. We love to do puzzles. We love to play games. I had a lot of fun playing darts with you guys. Alissa beat us all, but it was still fun, even though we lost. But
I had no idea how I won still. It was fun.
I was winning up until like the last 2 rounds. I was like beating everybody. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know what she did.
I think I finally figured out the game a little bit.
I'll own it.
We're like, oh, it's not that. It's this.
I was just throwing the darts at the wall, like throwing spaghetti at things. It's all good. But it was fun. And it was nice to have those spaces and places where you can be a part of the activity, but it's not like overwhelming and overstimulating, which again, I'm speaking to my age, I think here, like that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to be overwhelmed on a ship. So I felt like they did a really good job of having those different options. And overall, I really enjoyed the ship overall and like the layout and how it was done. I do like how on Royal, some of the newer ships, like the Icon class, have a more open, like in the atrium and like the promenade area where there's more light. The ship does feel very inward centered, kind of like the Oasis class on Royal, but you can find your way outside and there are places to be as well. So I did like that. One thing I want to kind of touch on, obviously, I think we all agree we liked the Xcel and enjoyed it. But there is a lot more that is still coming from Celebrity. They are really working on trying to be the company that is giving you vacations throughout your lifetime. So obviously they're part of Royal Caribbean Group. So you have Royal Caribbean, you have Celebrity, and you have Silver Sea that are all offer options. And Celebrity also has some really exciting things that are coming in the coming years. So we did attend a few meetings and learn some things. So Alissa, what were you most excited to hear about in the meetings that we attended?
It's almost hard to pick. So as someone who loves Royal and is coming around to Celebrity, there are some interesting reciprocity programs that they're launching where you can enjoy a status match across all three brands, no matter where you're earning points. And an important thing to remember for all of my suite people is while you get double points, loyalty points for suites with Royal, that's not the case with Celebrity. So something that you need to think of while you're looking at their new status match program, as well as a upcoming change to their points programs where you can basically sail any of the three lines and pick which loyalty program you want your points to apply to. So if you are building status at Celebrity and you really want to try Royal Caribbean, or if you're building status at Royal, taking advantage of those double points, but you want to be sure that you're still getting those same experiences on Celebrity, they have heard all of us, they are listening, and they are working on building programs that guarantee a kind of equal experience for everyone on board. On that same sort of line, we are looking forward to the Excite. It's going to be the 6th Edge class ship. We saw a sneak peek video. It looks very similar to the Xcel. I'm thinking since there is the XCITE spelling that it is going to be very close in design, kind of like the star and the icon of the seas over at Royal. So we need to keep our eyes out for that. It's going to be setting sail in 2028. They just had the inaugural steel cutting ceremony, so they're just starting production. And then Celebrity River Cruises is coming up next. So everything that you love about Celebrity ships, but on a smaller platform to take you deeper into the European experience. Celebrity has always been very focused on Europe. I think something like over half of their fleet is there every summer. So it's a great option. It's a great way to either double dip, or if you wanted to get more into the interior, but still have that same high-end luxury feel experience. Now they're bringing it to river starting in 2027. Bookings are open and they are already mostly sold out. Something really crazy, like within 7 minutes, all of the sailings sold out when they were launched. So definitely something to keep your eye on.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about that too. And like Jason said in the meeting, he said they're trying to go from 2 ships to 8 ships by 2028. So the hope is that there will be 8 river cruise ships on the water for Celebrity by 2028. They're hoping to be a big player in the river cruise market. I will be going to the ASTA River Cruise conference this year in March, learning about all the different river cruise lines, but I am really excited about what Celebrity is going to bring to this. I think it's going to be really exciting. So Samantha, thinking about the meetings that we attended, what we learned about, was there anything that surprised you or felt like a big shift for the brand or stood out to you?
No, I don't think anything, I wouldn't say surprising. There was the announcement of the renovations of the Solstice class ship, which for me and my clients is pretty exciting because those are the ships that are sailing out of Vancouver to Alaska, which would be my favorite sailing to Alaska's out of Vancouver. So I do like that they're excited to see the upgrades that they're making to that ship. It's supposed to be finished in March, so just ready, all polished up for the cruise season to Alaska starting in May. So that was exciting to hear. Obviously seeing the drawings and stuff of the river ships the river, getting Celebrity dipping into that market, it's exciting because of you kind of have a few what I would consider kind of mass market cruise lines that cater to U.S. clients doing the river cruises. So Celebrity entering that just gives you one more thing to make that competitive. And what's exciting when you have more competition is everybody rises, right? So once somebody new enters the market and does something good, the ones that are currently dominating the market are going to have to step up in certain areas. And that doesn't mean that anything they're doing is wrong, but how can they make it better to not lose their competitive edge? So everybody benefits when you have competition enter the market. So I think that's exciting. It was exciting to hear their focus primarily being on the European market, which I think goes along kind of with where I envision that Celebrity piece of the market demographically. You're cruising the Bahamas with your kids on Royal, and then once you're done, your kids are out of the house and you're ready for that kind of more calmer vacation and that calmer experience, and you're looking at that level that you can get with Celebrity, but then maybe you're also not wanting to go to the Bahamas or the private island or, that same cruise itineraries that you have been doing, and you're ready for that more elevated port experience. And you're going to get that in the European market and new ports to you if you haven't already cruised those. And so I like that shift from also coming from a step up in their service level and in their ship design. And then you're also getting that with the ports and your vacation in Europe. They did say there was also all the focus on their port experiences overall in how, even though we're not adding new ports, but how do you raise that level of service you're getting on land to match the level that you're getting on the ship? So lots of exciting, I feel like, updates, especially I would say, relatively new to the Celebrity market. So I have sold, that was my second sailing personally, and I have sailed more on other cruise lines. So just to kind of see what their vision is and to hear that from the people in charge and what they envision that future to look like. And so I think it's exciting.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it is really exciting. And I think it's exciting for us as we kind of grow our knowledge base as an agency about Celebrity. We have a great partnership with Daniel Katz, our regional manager. He's really great. And we have these connections that can really help elevate our clients' experience, make sure that everything is handled and what they are looking for, and match them with the right ship. Some people aren't going to be right for Celebrity at this stage in their life, but other people are. And I think that's really what we bring to the table, is being able to kind of narrow down that market of, okay, here's 20 cruise lines. Where should I end up? And we can kind of direct them in the right direction. Of course, there are always a few things that are still evolving, still coming to Celebrity, but they really are kind of leading into that more elevated, experienced, focused travel. And I really liked what they had to say about river cruising and how their port experiences are going to be that elevated, experienced, focused option. I'm hoping that's a little bit more than what I've personally experienced on river in the past. Mike and I tend to end up, here I am again. I like to be by myself, going off on our own and doing our own thing instead of doing some of the pre-packaged excursions with those other river lines. So I'm really hoping that Celebrity kind of takes that to the next level. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to wrap up our podcast today with a lightning question for the two of you. This one is kind of a fun one. So Alissa, you're going first. Who do you think Celebrity Xcel is the perfect fit for?
Okay, so
30 seconds. Go.
Okay, well, also remember that this is not an adults-only cruise line. I just want to throw that in there before we get in trouble for people who think it is. Yeah. This is not adults only. So if you do have a family with quieter kids who love to relax, older kids, there's even still a kids club. So don't forget that in all of this. So if you are looking for a high-end, especially my sweet people, multi-bedroom suites, so I'm thinking it could still be great for that older kid, that quiet kid, that reserved kid who want that luxury family experience. Kids hang out in your private whirlpool on your deck. You have your own separate bedroom. I think it could be really great for those guests.
I completely agree. And I think we just need to caveat that with, this is not for the kids that want the rock wall, the water slide, that kind of experience. But I am taking my kids on Celebrity Millennium in May, but my kids are 18, so an adult, and then 2 kids who are 16. So I think it will be fine for them. I'm a little worried about the transition from royal to celebrity, but overall, I think they'll be fine. I think they're big enough to understand the difference and to enjoy that experience. Okay, so Samantha, you ready?
To piggyback off of what Alissa said, what I heard, what she said was that extroverted introvert. So when I was a child, I would have still loved the celebrity. I would have wanted to curl up in a corner somewhere and read a book. That has not changed about me. There is the option to go listen to music, go get your peopling out of you, and then crawl back in your hole and be perfect. If you are a need to be entertained person, then you're going to want to look for something different if you want that all the time, all the day. So perfect for somebody who wants a place to be quiet with also knowing that there are activities on the horizon for you, even if they are kids that don't need entertainment. Now, if you, like you said, if you're wanting that rock climbing wall, I think my youngest would be good with it for a few days because we could sit and play board games. They had Scrabble, and deck of cards that you could check out on the pool deck. We forgot to mention that. We could sit and play games and be good. My oldest would be good. Now, after about 3 days, my youngest would be like, I really need a basketball court. And so then we would need to pivot to something like Royal Caribbean if we were doing a 7-night cruise, unless it was something that was port heavy. Alaska, where you're constant with your excursions and things, and then you're just coming back to eat dinner, shower, and chill out. That's a different story. But if you have multiple sea days and you want that activity, you would want to look at something different. So even though this wasn't part of the question, I feel like my favorite example of that is once I became an agent with Pineapple Escapes, another agent, and I had found out that we had previously both been to the same resort prior to both of us being an agent. My husband and I loved it. Her and her husband were bored. So that's where you get with your cruise ships, even with all-inclusives, when you work with somebody who has done both, and they can tell you, my least favorite question is, what is the best or what is your favorite? Because my favorite is not the same as somebody else's. And I just equate that to, are you a Pepsi drinker or a Coke drinker? Everybody's not the same. So it's the same with your vacation styles. And so when you work with one of us who has done both, Royal is perfect, Celebrity is perfect, but which one is perfect for you depends on you. And we can help you narrow that down.
Right, exactly. I think, yes, that's why you use us, is because we've done them both and we can help you figure that out based on your personality type, what you're looking for, and all of those details. So Alissa and Samantha, thank you both for joining me today and for sharing all of your insights about our inaugural sailing on Celebrity Xcel. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too. For our listeners, if you want help planning your own celebrity cruise, or any cruise for that matter, and want to learn more about the retreat experience, the suites, let us help you qualify yourself for the right cruise. You can always reach out to our team at Pineapple Escapes Travel. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss a new episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, travel makes life sweeter. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Travel Tidbits Podcast, where we believe travel makes life sweeter. The team at Pineapple Escapes Travel would love to help you plan a trip filled with lasting memories. Visit us online at www.pineappleescapes.com to start planning your next adventure.